All right, I have 7 o'clock up on the big book there, so call the meeting to order. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Enter into roll call. Mr. Kaag. Here. Ms. Leiendecker.
Present.
Mr. Shaver. Here. Mr. Becker. Here. Mr. Wert. Here. Ms. Bauer.
Here.
Ms. Drobnick.
Here.
The mayor will be here. She has another meeting. And Mr. Murray.
Here.
Borough Council held an executive session on Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 at 6 o'clock p.m. to discuss the acquisition of real property and personnel matters. And we do not have any agenda amendments coming out of executive session at this time. At this point, I will open the floor to public comment. Mr. Rogers, you're always first.
An update on the business privilege. I'm talking with Jim Hunt yesterday. Last month, there was 228 delinquent accounts. And time is passing on. This month, there's 241 delinquent accounts as we progress. There were 18 delinquent accounts. Listen to this number. They paid $7,754.63. That's money that we would have not seen before. I'm sorry, did anybody hear the amount that I said?
Yes.
Yeah, we can. It's more
It's for
for
that.
online,
Yeah.
so that they can hear you.
So hopefully with the other 200 and some delinquent accounts, we might get another $100 or so. Also, the other thing, I don't know if the 4th of July committee is still active or not, but I'd like to offer my services as a person to contract with the vendors and also help with the electrical setup and so forth in showing the vendors where they should be, possibly on the grounds. I don't know if that's still an active committee. Certainly like to offer my services.
It is, but we did not have enough interest on that July 4th committee to literally do much of anything. There was a lot of interest within the community, not a whole lot of interest to actually serve on a committee though. So it is still open and active, but we are actively not planning something for 2024. If we do get enough people, we'll be looking forward to 2025.
Okay.
Yep. Anyone else for public comment? Chaz.
A women's resource fair. It's going to be our annual women's resource fair. It's going to be March 2nd, Saturday, not this coming Saturday, the following one, from 11 to 2 at the Romanian Community Center in West Lawn. So it's 51 West Lawn Avenue. We're going to have our flyers for that in tomorrow morning, so I'll have someone drop them off. But should be a great time. At least 30 vendors. So it should be a great time.
Thanks, Chaz. Anyone else in person?
Here, I've lived in West Reading for over 30 years. My grandfather lived here, and I'm called Sue. I'm a barber instructor for the Department of Corrections.
And your name, I'm sorry?
Paula Kressler, and I'm also a veteran. So I was gonna fill in at that point, but my consideration is the fact the state of Pennsylvania hasn't gotten any raises in close to 2 years. And I'm a timely person, and I also have a degree in business education, and I pay my bills by the state, which filters it down to the local community. And I would suggest giving some kind of waiver for a few days, because state employees only get paid 2 days after most of the bills are due for water, and then you get like this very condescending attitude toward the office that you're a bad person because you can't pay in the middle of the week, but the state only pays you every other Friday, and they haven't given any raises to any state employees. So that just might be something that you could really help out with state employees. I live here and I travel an hour and a half to my job. So that just might be a consideration. You know, I'm very, very conscientious about money, and I'm actually very anal retentive about having bills paid in time. So I just wanted to comment that and to say how much it is a concern for veterans and city workers just to make ends meet.
I would also suggest that you talk to Chaz, either after the meeting or exit and you can have a chat, but he works for Johanny, who is our state rep. And that would be a great conversation to have with him as well. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Anyone online? All right, seeing none, I will close the floor to public comment and we will wind into the approval of the minutes. So in your packet, you have the January 16th regular meeting minutes as well as the January 23rd second meeting minutes. I'm looking for consideration to approve those minutes. Motion made by Mr. Wert,
Second.
second by Mr. Shaver. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, first up in ordinances and resolutions. First one is consideration to authorize the advertisement of an amendment to section 441-21 to refer to a resolution for schedule of fees to commence and discontinue water service. Dean, can you touch on that quick?
So there, if I remember this correctly, there was an issue with our fee schedule with the on and off of water services. So it was just clarification and clearing up the language in there.
Referring to the resolution as opposed to having the dollar amount in the ordinance is what you think.
Gotcha. Does anybody have any questions with that? Seeing none, looking for authorization and a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Leiendecker,
Second.
second by Ms. Drobnick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to ordinance 1182 sewer tapping fee and connections regulations amendment. This is an amendment to chapter 363-3 and 6 of sewer tapping fees and connection regulations to include some language pertaining to changes in use, flow, and strength of sewage discharge, just what we all know and love. Does anybody have any questions on that? I believe that we still have some solicitor instructions in regards to that, but if there are any changes.
No, it can be enacted. now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
So it was looked at by the engineer and the solicitor's office, so it's just ready.
Okay. Then we're good. So looking for consideration to adopt that amendment.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag,
Seconded.
second by Ms. Leiendecker. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to resolution 2024-6. This is the extension of the local disaster emergency from the Palmer incident. Looking for consideration to extend that through our regularly scheduled council meeting in March.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Shaver,
Second.
second by Ms. Drobnick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to resolution 2024-7, which is the destruction of municipal records. Every now and again, we do need to dispose of said records per the municipal records manual. And this is just the approval of that disposal in accordance with that, the timeframes laid out. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, looking for a motion.
Moved.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag,
Second.
second by Ms. Leiendecker. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to consultants' reports. Dan, do you have anything for us for solicitor?
No, sir.
All right, so we'll move on to the engineer's report. Pamela.
Good evening, everybody. All right, I just want to follow up on the sewer tapping fee and connection regulations. That was just the tip of the iceberg to change the tapping fees to catch up with. There is a change in use of our properties to help
Mhm.
Chad process the permits when they come in, the zoning permits for changes and things. More times than not, the sewer usage increases, or it could change in characteristic, being it's an industrial user or user that could send things down into the wastewater treatment plant that JMA would have a problem with. But the infrastructure committee, we would want to take a whole look at that ordinance as well as the water chapter to make sure that we're catching everything else that should be caught at this time, since once we open them up, we might as well finish it. Unfortunately, I can't attend the infrastructure committee meetings, but another person from my office can. So we'll take a look at both ordinances along with Dan's office and make some suggestions to help the infrastructure committee continue on that task. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
That's great.
All right, moving on with my report. We have a bid that was very, very close for the 2024 roads, about a $14,000 spread. So it's very competitive. contractor that is the low bidder is H&K, and they are the group that did the road last year, which we were overall very pleased with. So I'd be looking for a motion to award the low bidder to H&K contingent upon the Borough Solicitor's review and approval of the package, which I did scan and send, so I'm hoping it's a yes and let's go.
So the total base bid for H&K Group is $266,378.11. The supplemental bid that we also added in was $116,889.70 for a grand total of $383,267.81.
My understanding is the budget that we set aside was about 420, so we were under budget even with the alternate Park Alley. So our recommendation would be to award the base bid and the alternate Park Alley.
Does the council know which streets we're talking about?
I'm sorry, Carrie. said
I see council know which streets we're talking about?
You can remind us.
It's from
I don't have
Smith
it.
Avenue from Oak Terrace to Penn Avenue, so we finish this stretch here. It's a 200 block and a 400 block of Spruce Street. 300 block was partially taken care of the other year by UGI.
400 block of grape.
Yeah, 400 block of Grape. And then it's Park Alley between Playground Drive and Parkview Road. It's probably another mile worth of roadway, which is
And
very
then,
impressive.
if you recall, we're blocking out Fifth and Spruce because of the Spruce water line. You know, we're blocking, we're stopping it there.
Yep.
The water line project has been awarded through the grant.
Does anybody have any questions on that? This is the wonderful part of the year where I have to recuse myself from the vote because H&K sponsors Reading United and I do public address announcing for them over the summer. So just, I have a conflict of interest, so putting that in the minutes. Does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag,
Second.
second by Mr. Shaver.
Subject to us confirming the bid, the bond.
We'll make that motion.
Still second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is the Green Light Go grant year number 9. Year 8 is out front on Fifth, and that is moving forward towards design and construction. This one is the actual application. We did the pre-scoping by the 15th of December, so now this is the actual application that needs to be in before the end of February. Thursday, Dean and I have an appointment for Dean to actually hit the submit button.
Yeah.
I had 2 days worth of trouble with that website, so that's why I'm glad we're gonna get it done this week, just like we did with the LSA.
Okay.
They seem to be very finicky, especially getting towards the deadline, so we'll make sure we'll submit that. But what I'm looking for tonight is the funding commitment letter for the borough match, which is 20% in the amount of $48,380.30. And the total that would be through the Green Light Go was $193,520.21, and this is for 7th Avenue and Parkside Drive North by the hospital, 7th Avenue, Reading Avenue, and then 8th Avenue, Hill Avenue, and Reading Avenue. So it's those for those 3 traffic signals.
Does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, looking for approval.
So moved.
I'm gonna give this to Bethany so that she
Yeah.
gets in and act.
That's fine.
Motion made by Ms. Bauer,
I will second.
second by Ms. Linedecker, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Okay, the next one, I'm looking for, maybe the police chief to do an intervention and give PSIG a phone call and say, it'll move on. We were talking about them starting back in October, so I'm a little frustrated, I'm not getting anywhere. My emails have been a little terse, but I think it needs to step up. Chief?
Certainly. I can take care of that.
I think you have more teeth than I do, because it's for, they would be starting the security upgrades here and then moving to
Right.
Avenue. So it's a perfect time to get the indoors and then moving the spring to the outdoors,
Yep.
so.
I'm assuming council's good with that directive.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
I'd like to-
Just making sure.
I have no teeth, so, thank you very much. I didn't mean to direct the chief myself, but.
There you
That's
go.
okay. I don't mind.
Moving on to the pickleball court, I had a phone call today from the pavement marking contractor for the pickleball association. They're looking to see if the borough would donate road crew, public works people to be flaggers while they're doing the painting. So I said, well, I have a meeting tonight. I'm not sure how to, answer because it is a private association. But this would be on the street by the pickleball court, and it's about 2 blocks worth, 76 spaces, double yellow being painted, and some handicap spots. So I don't know how long it's gonna take.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question.
Mhm. And how many do they need? Because we do actually have stuff to get done in the borough during the day.
I
Doesn't
think
require
since it's
flagging.
private, my feeling is Dan, what do you think? I'm just a little.
Who made the request?
It's the pavement marking company working for the pickleball association who's going to pay, what they're paying for the. And it's on a city street.
It's a further complication.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it, but I promised her yes, so I can ask, you can say no.
That's appropriate.
Is it a no?
To say no, it's a person. Say no.
Conflict.
It's up to you. If you really want to do it, we can figure out a way to do it. But ultimately, I think this is for, the private purpose. It's a private company that's making the request. It wasn't even the pickleball association making the
No.
request.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that doesn't come with the, whatever package they purchased.
I would think that it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's strange to me.
Well, she'll add it to the quote.
It's like $3,000 for traffic control for a day. And that's what they're avoiding, they're trying not to pay.
I'm gonna say no.
yeah, don't everyone speak up at once.
I'm a no.
Feels like a no.
No.
Already wording it, so.
Thank you for asking.
I and appreciate that, this parking solution is going in. So
Yes.
That's a great
Interesting.
help.
Well, and they were also told that they have to work with the city of Reading to make sure the temperatures are correct before,
They paint.
because of their rules and guidelines of painting.
Okay, I emailed Chaz about the Ann Street multimodal, and Chaz advised me maybe March or April of this year, which is good. And Carrie and I met at the fire company, and I was able to push the door open. It was fast. I would say less than 6 seconds, 4 to 6 seconds. It closes. So that truck can get out of there, and every second counts. So it was beautiful. So what I want to ask is, how are we doing the other 2 doors? Because Chaz would also like to know for letters of support and things. Are we doing a grant? Are you paying out of funds? You need the fire. I know there's all sorts of fire grants, so I just need some guidance.
Well, I know that's on the fire chief's radar, and he's unfortunately sick tonight, but he is online. So if he wants to chime in, he can, but that's something we can obviously talk about to move forward then.
Yes. So last year I applied for a capital projects grant through the Office of State Fire Commissioner. Unfortunately, we did not get that grant. I haven't seen any information whether that grant is going to be offered this year or not. If it is, I'll certainly submit another application.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chad.
It says we have to, I apologize for the speakers, because when you bump them up just too much, then it squelches really bad. So unfortunately, I have to have them come in to look at them.
Okay.
That was the chance we took with working with an old system and trying to make it work with this.
Next on my report is the sewer. I think we spoke about all of that regarding the chapters 363 and the chapter 441. So I'll move on to the next item, which is the chapter 94. Dan, can you pass that down to Dean for me? The chapter 94 annual waste load is the sewage report that goes to DEP through the Joint Municipal Authority treatment plant. So we are a tributary entity, and we have to report the pump stations and how the pumps are doing, what the flow is, and if there were any sewage overflows or any other issues, so that DEP knows that we're taking care of the system. So this is an annual report that SDE puts together with the help of Carrie and Dean. So Dean is the current signer of the Chapter 94 form, and it usually goes into February as a tributary, and the end of March is when the main treatment plant reports are due to DEP. So that's just part of the regular process. So Dean, when you get that signed, if you can scan it to me.
Yep.
Right, does anybody have any questions on that action item? Otherwise, looking for consideration to allow for a manager to execute the Chapter 94 annual waste load management.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Leiendecker,
Second.
second by Mr. Kaag, all in favor,
Aye.
all opposed, motion carries. Anything else?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm
Right, I
taking a
asked.
while, but I'm going, and now I'm on water. And this is the one we got the grant for, so that's very exciting. But it came with a caveat, which I emailed Dan and Colin. This is H2O, ARP, and COVID money. So it came from the federal government, but we thought it was all being coordinated through the state, but they're still tying some federal guidelines to it. And what I'm discussing is like the professional services, instead of using just SDE blatantly, because we designed all your water lines and all that, or without any process, they're looking for a request for proposals to multiple engineers to be sent out. It's not low bid, so you can still choose SDE, but it's the whole process. It's another step that has to be taken. So I'm having Dan look at the complicated legalese that I couldn't understand when I read it, which is normal.
This way, that's back up, right? So
I did not see it. Did you? Would you email me back?
they had to go through the process. You saw it. I thought you responded.
No, I was in between. I was probably pushing the fire department door and I ignored it. That was better news.
Why don't you just tell them I'll take a look at it, because I'm gonna make sure we're on the same page.
Okay. What an RFP means is a request for proposals. You just have to write an outline of the scope of work. You send it to 2 other engineering firms. We respond. It's not by low bid at all. So you could still award it to SD, but what I was asking Dan is, do we have to go through the process? It's just, it's another couple months delay, but the grants are 3 years. So it's not like we're knocking against the grant deadline at all. So it's just the process we have to go through. So thank you, Dan. So you'll confirm.
I will.
Is there any action that's needed then for the borough?
No, because there's no urgency on it. That can come back on
That is
another
correct.
agenda item. So just bring that in your report for next month.
You got it. All right, last thing I have, I know, thank goodness. Chad, this is for you. The retaining wall people have not responded to the January 17th letter I sent. Here we are almost a month past. So this is 55 South Third.
Okay, last week we talked to them. They said they were going to be submitting those plans to your office, but they apparently failed to. So we'll move forward.
So Dan, should we get it to the chief again? For more teeth? I'm just kidding.
So tell me what's.
This is the retaining wall.
Right, so the one over there.
They did, I'll say 1/4 of it with Lego blocks.
Right.
So now they need to take out all of the pilings and failing railroad
So
ties.
we should probably, I don't know that there should be additional legal action taken to try to get that done. We should probably develop a strategy and not have that whole discussion here tonight, and then just come back with the recommendations, unless you
Okay.
think it's gonna fall tomorrow.
I don't think it's gonna fall tomorrow, but I just wanted to bring it to the public attention that it is an issue, it's a safety issue.
So
and
you
some
guys should talk, and then
council-
we should come back with a recommendation.
You got it. Thank you. All right, so that's what we're doing. And then that is it. So thank you very much.
All right, do we have any other questions on the engineer's report? Seeing none, looking for approval of the engineer's report.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Shaver. Second by Mr. Kaag, all in favor.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Pamela? All right, at this time, we'll move into the council president's report. And if you wouldn't mind stealing the mouse for me. So we do have an action item on the report, which is for consideration of authorizing the solicitor to draft an agreement of sale for the borough to purchase 433 Penn Avenue. The 433 Penn Avenue is also known as Schweitzer Service Center. It comes at a cost to the borough of $675,000. That is the appraised value. We cannot spend more than that. And that's why you've probably seen in executive session that we've talked about the acquisition of real property now for over a year. And that's part of the reason why. So obviously right now it acts as a gas station or service center, a little less than a third of an acre and right in the middle of our central business district. Reason that we decided to purchase this property in the short term, we did have plans drawn up for roughly an additional 76 to 90 parking spaces in the 400 block. Now that is not necessarily the way that it will end up. It could end up in phases, could end up looking different than the drawings that I'll show a little bit later in this. But those are at least the plans that we initially have. And even if we do go in phases, we'd be looking at least parking initially because it makes the most sense. It also adds an opportunity for civic space on Penn Avenue. So it can add an additional location for Second Friday, move the farmer's market off of South 6th, events, concerts, food trucks, you name it. We do not have a civic space of any type. We don't have site control over anywhere on the avenue, but now we would. And then also long-term. So we had a master plan drawn up for Penn Avenue in our business district a number of years ago by Dirk and Edson. This was identified as one of those areas that could be a linchpin to future redevelopment plans for the borough. And again, the master plan says that, certainly more redevelopment in that 400 block, but it also gives the borough a definitive say in the future of what that looks like for Penn Avenue as well, as opposed to rolling the dice. We at least have site control over arguably the ugliest parcel of that triangle. It's an oddly shaped lot. It didn't give an awful lot of potential buyers a lot of confidence that they could place what they wanted to on it, just based on the weird shape and whatnot. But this gives you an idea. This is pulled right out of the Dirk and Edson plan. This is one of the ideas that were most desired within our business district. And that could be a pocket park, a multi-purpose plaza, amphitheater. So this can double as both an event space and a multi-purpose plaza for the 400 block. This is also pulled out of the Dirk and Edson plan as well. You can see the Tulpehocken Avenue improvement area that they do discuss in detail in regards to potential improvement areas. And then also existing parking occupancy. You can see when they did it, you can see right where Schweitzer's is, that there was a need for additional parking. It's the only bright red area right on that plan that they did for us. Again, these are just potential parking designs that we had drawn up. These are not going to be the end result. They could change drastically. We do not quite know what it will look like. This would come with the extinction of Tulpehocken Avenue. And providing the ability to make a much larger parking lot. But again, we are not married to these plans. We do not have any plans on moving forward with these identical plans as of this moment. We still have a little bit to go, but these are just potential parking design ideas that we had in mind for that location. So how are we paying for this property? We are securing bond financing for $1.25 million. At an approximate 3.5% rate. It will cost the borough a little less than $120,000 per year to finance. We opted to look at the 13-year maturity, which would take us all the way to about 2036. Now, part of this property and part of the beauty of this property is if we do put parking on there, we could utilize Park Mobile and we could generate some revenue to help offset some of the bond financing that we're looking to attain. We also have an opportunity with the current market as well, as long as we reach certain benchmarks, to actually reinvest the part of the bond that we are not utilizing. And as of right now, with the purchase, we would hit that. So if we reinvest what we have remaining in the bond for the first year, we could receive an anticipated roughly $32,000 with what the market rate is looking like right now. That will not continue into the future as we continue to draw more money off of the bond and utilize it for developing that space. But at least for the first year, it's really nice that we have the ability to reinvest what we don't use and actually make money on it. So it's a really special opportunity right now for securing a bond. So again, parking development, the plans that were drawn up were roughly 650,000. Again, we were not married to them, but some of those costs could potentially be reduced. I know KT's chomping at the bit to take some sledgehammers. So certain portions of the demolition of the building could be handled, concrete work, things like that. One thing that we do not know at this point are remediation costs. Obviously, there are gas tanks under the ground. We are planning on purchasing this property as is, but we hope that they will be unlikely to be extensive because right now we are just looking to pave over top. We are not looking to disturb the ground, at least currently. And why we went with the bond over the mortgage, the bond rates were a full percentage point cheaper, and also the extended 13-year repayment helped balance future budgets that we looked at, as well as the interest amounts being much lower than other options that we had as well. This is a very loose tentative timeline. Please do not take this verbatim, but ideally, we will reach an agreement of sale for the property, which we have. We'll enter into that agreement. We will finalize the bond, do any environmental testing afterwards, but then we can close on the property, take possession. Again, very optimistic that this year we could look at the potential demolition of the service station, removing gas pumps. Again, that's very optimistic, and then site development is also probably optimistic for 2025, but we'll see what we end up having land in our laps. Again, the remaining unknowns for this, it is just the potential remediation of the site. Again, we were hoping that by not disturbing an awful lot, that we will not need to do much. And also the site design, again, this could undergo multiple phases of work, allowing us some flexibility to move forward with some at least short-term parking ideas, utilizing it for borough space on the avenue. But that could also allow us some flexibility and time frame to complete projects and also future redevelopment opportunities. So we don't have anything quite in mind for things like that, but certainly as we progress with the purchase of this and full site control, those may develop over time. And then the final steps are to, and I'm sorry, Jim, I'm going to have you hold off until public comment at the end. We're looking to enter into the agreement of sale for the property, finalize the bond financing, we'll close on the transaction, and then after closing, we will look at the required soil and environmental testing afterwards. Thought it was very prudent that we share all of these things with you, considering that we're taking out over $1 million to purchase and develop the property, but we felt really highly that it was an important property for us to potentially control, to alleviate some parking concerns in the 400 block, make them feel more included in the 400 block as well. A lot of the events and things that we close down are up towards the 600 and 700 blocks. This will allow us to drag events, potential, tree lightings, whatever. We could potentially have all of those things there in that plaza because we control that space. But yeah. So that's what we are planning to do. So at this point in time, looking for consideration of authorizing the solicitor to draft an agreement of sale to purchase 433 Penn Avenue.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Leiendecker.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wert. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. That is all that I have for my report, and I will turn it over to the super sad portion of our meeting, which is the borough manager's report.
We have to approve your report.
Your report then.
Yeah, sure. Yep. Looking for approval of the council president's report.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. What am I down to? I'm up to 7
You're up to
action
7.
items
Up
this
to
month.
7.
First action item is consideration of appointing alternate members to the Board of Appeals to hear appeals pertaining to property maintenance with a term to expire on December 31st, 2026. There were 3 applicants for it. Under the ordinance, the way it reads, it says that we have to take people that are, have the background to that, so
Have the experience and training.
experience and training. First one is John Harvey. He's got construction background. And the second one is Mark Burkholder with electrical background.
And then we did have one other applicant, which was Ms. Shank, who's
Yep.
out in the audience. Tina, you can gladly if you have anything to say to council.
Well, I don't have that kind of experience.
Okay. So if we're all in agreement, Mr. Harvey and Mr. Burkholders, does anybody have any questions with that? Okay, otherwise looking for approval of appointing John Harvey and Mark Burkholder to the, as alternate members of the Board of Appeals. Motion made by Mr. Wert,
Second.
second by Ms. Drobnick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next action item is consideration of appointing 2 members to the Finance Committee with terms to expire on December 31st, 2024. The first, we only got 2 applications for that. Allie Blair Snyder, which is here in the audience with us, and then a Bob Lockyer.
Mr. Lockyer, previously, I guess you can call it, served on Finance Committee. We didn't have enough for quorum, so he ended up backing out. And since we do have a quorum now, he is interested in coming back. Otherwise, Allie, you can gladly say something for both this, and you're also up for Environmental Advisory Council, so you can just use this time if you'd like.
My name's Allie. I live in Western Borough. I've lived here for about 5 years. I have a little family now. I'm just out of the throes of having a second baby, so I'm in a doctoral program at Albany University for leadership. And I've just been really interested in serving, and now that I have just a little bit more brain space and capacity, I need to be able to do that and volunteer. So thank you for considering.
Does anybody have any questions? So we'll start with the first action item, looking for consideration to appoint Mr. Locklear and Ms. Blair Snyder to the Finance Committee with terms to expire on December 31st, 2024.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Bauer, second by Ms. Drobnick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And then looking for consideration of appointing Ms. Blair Snyder as an associate member of the Environmental Advisory Council.
So moved.
That motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag, second by Mr. Shaver. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
All good.
All right, 4th action item, consideration of approving the Armed Forces Day Parade event and staff to submit a request to PennDOT for permission to close Penn Avenue from 8th to 3rd on Saturday, May 18th, 2024.
Does anybody have any questions with that? One of the longest running Armed Forces Day parades
In the country.
in the country. Otherwise, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Shaver,
Second.
second by Ms. Leiendecker. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
5th action item, consideration of entering into an extended lease agreement with Western Berks Ambulance to occupy and conduct business from designated areas within the West Reading Firehouse.
So we took care of this a little bit early, but we're continuing with Western Berks Ambulance, on another 10-year contract with them, of which they will provide free memberships to the entire borough of West Reading. And in return, they are allowed to use space as designated in the lease agreement down at the fire company. They're able to operate out of there, and we get to continue the same benefits that we've had now for upwards of 20 years. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Leiendecker,
Second.
second by Ms. Drobnick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Now for the good one. Action item number 6, consideration to accept the letter of resignation from the borough manager.
Oh.
Denied.
It's gonna be our first split vote.
Right.
If you say no, that means he can't, right?
Ah,
I'm pretty sure he can just leave anyway.
Called kidnapping.
What are we gonna do? Fire him after the fact for not attending his job?
I was gonna wear sunglasses tonight and I'm doing pretty good. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Privilege is all ours.
Somebody do it.
No, we're just gonna let you bask in this.
Let him hang.
I'll go ahead and start. Coming into being council president a couple years ago, didn't know what to expect at all, and Dean and I came into this roughly around the same time, and Dean has been a father figure to me here in the borough. He has guided me every step of the way in doing what we do. He is. Sorry, I'm gonna cry myself. This job's tough. Chews you up, spits you out, and Dean handled it better than anybody that I've ever seen. Did so with grace and compassion, and so much love for this community that you can't even quantify it. But without Dean, I keep telling him that he is leaving this borough in a much better place than he ever found it. And we can take a lot of solace in the fact that it is a well-oiled machine, that we have a lot to be proud of, and a lot of that stems from Dean and a lot of the hard work that he's done. So
Thank
we
you.
miss you.
Make sure all that gets in the minutes.
Does anybody else want to jump in?
No, listen, you stuck with me for another month yet, so we're good.
I'm just getting it out of the way.
I appreciate it.
I'll have something to say at that meeting.
All right,
Okay.
there you go. So unfortunately, looking for consideration to accept a letter of resignation from the borough manager.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag.
Refuse it.
Second.
Second was by Mr. Wert.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And then the last one is consideration of entering into an agreement with the Center of Excellence in Local Government to assist the hiring of a borough manager.
The previous time that we looked for a borough manager, got us Dean. So we think that Paul Jansen did a pretty okay job. So what they will end up doing is they will advertise, they will collect resumes, they will also do a first round of interviews as well, and they will score all of the applicants according to a rubric that Paul's designed, which provides us a great deal of confidence in, it's literally called the Center for Excellence in Local Government. So it gives us a great deal of confidence with his suggestions moving forward, and then we will select finalists from those. Does anybody have any questions? Seeing none, looking for consideration to enter into an agreement with CELG to assist in hiring a borough manager.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Shaver,
Second.
second by Ms. Linedecker. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries. Anything else, Dean?
Thank you all very much. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Still a dirty route south.
All right.
We can move on. We can get on.
Sorry, did I even take borough manager's report?
No.
That one yet? All right,
No.
looking for approval of Dean's second to last report. You're not getting it out of it quite yet.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag,
Second.
second by Ms. Bauer. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries. On to the mayor's report. Mayor is unable to attend as of right now. I do not believe that she submitted a report for our perusal, so we might be able to take a look at it next week. So we'll move on from the mayor's report and into department reports. So we'll start with the police chief.
You have a copy of my report. Just before getting to my action item, two things to touch on. One is that we're very happy that we were able to get one of our officers and an investigator into a week-long crisis intervention officer certification course. So that is a crisis intervention team dealing with folks who have mental health issues and things like that, being able to recognize that and then how to properly respond. So good resources for us. They were introduced to some additional training opportunities that are available for the other members of the department that may not involve that whole week-long process, but some on-hands training. They use virtual reality training that they can bring here to the police department. So having the two officers certified in that gives us some more opportunities for training And our investigator who went through the training is actually now serving on their advisory board to kind of tweak the program going forward, find out what works for law enforcement and what doesn't. So we have some good representation on there, and we probably will be sending at least another additional officer through the certification training as it comes around again throughout the year. So really happy we could get our personnel into that. It's a great program. I worked with the program director previously in the city on some other initiatives and found that they were really worthwhile. So I think this is a really good thing for the department and for the community moving forward. And the other thing is on February 6th, we held a briefing here at the Borough Hall and then took a walk through the Penn Avenue event space for our larger events like Art on the Avenue and the Fall Fest. This is part of a larger project that we started a few months ago with the International Association of Chiefs of Police, their collaborative reform initiative and technical assistance center. We reached out to them to validate some of our processes in doing threat assessments and providing security for these larger events. It's kind of unique in talking to the subject matter experts who are reviewing our procedures there. It's really a unique situation here that this is a very small community, but we host very large events. So looking at what resources we can additionally bring in, how we can better secure those events. We had Nick attended the meeting with us, so we even had input from the kind of their side of the house, from the event organizers, things that we can do to tighten up security of these events. We'll be continuing with some more briefings and trainings for different folks as it relates to these events moving forward. But the good news is they were really happy with what we're doing, especially again, a pretty small borough to host these large events. So they thought that the plans we had in place were pretty good and just make some tweaks moving forward. So those were two of the big things first 2 months of the year that we really got into. And we'll have some more projects like that moving forward. And the last thing I have is the action item, which is consideration for approving the budget lease of a 2023 Ford Interceptor utility vehicle. We originally budgeted $60,815, which was a $16,996.80 lease payment. We were able to actually get the upfitting. The dealer usually did the upfitting. We went to a third party and actually got some better systems in there that'll be better for the officers. And we're able to reduce the price of the vehicle down to $55,286.10, which dropped the lease payment to $15,451.66.
Anybody have any questions on that? Otherwise, looking for approval to purchase the budgeted lease of a 2023 Ford Police Interceptor utility vehicle.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Shaver,
Second.
second by Ms. Drobnick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Anything else?
That is it.
All right. Well, you skipped over the other part of your report too. In-car cameras coming March 14th.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, so our in-car, sorry, I apologize. Our in-car cameras are being installed right now. We have a deployment date with Motorola on March 14th that they'll be up and running, and they will integrate with the body worn cameras that we have. So the two systems will work off of each other. So if there's a need for activating an in-car camera, we'll have that. Otherwise, we'll still have the body cameras. Just gives us some additional eyes on when we're out in the street.
I know a lot of the officers were clamoring for the in-car cameras before the body cameras. We put the cart before the horse, but now we finally
Now we have
be
both.
reattached.
Yes.
Now we have both. All right, does anybody have any other questions on the police department reports? Seeing none, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag,
Second.
second by Mr. Shaver. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to Public Works, KT.
I just have a copy of my report in front of me. You have any questions, be happy to answer them. I do have a couple of action items for consideration. First one is the consideration to approve for the waste yard drop off the first Saturday of each month, April through November.
I think we've done this now since like 2019 with EAC, I think.
Yeah.
And every single year it gets better and better and more people utilize it. And all that we're asking is that yard waste goes there and not in your trash.
Yeah.
Put it in the trash, it increases the tonnage. Everybody pays more for it.
Yep.
So we have a way to remove that from our tonnage, and that is by utilizing Public Works both during the week and yard waste drop-off dates on the first Saturday of the month.
Mhm.
So looking for consideration to approve those drop-off dates, first Saturday of April through November from 9 AM to noon.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Bauer,
Second.
second by Ms. Lineaweaver. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Second action item is to consideration to purchase a Ford Bronco Sport, which would be for my use right now. I use my own personal vehicle quite a bit when all the guys are out working, so it'd be for my personal use while I'm working and whatnot. And also if the guys can go to class, my P's or send them to that in the class and I just take a truck that day. We budgeted 32,000. I did call over to
I love this part of your report.
Thomas Zanna, yeah, but they came in, they had the same one they sold here 23 for 31,289. So I called up the Mandenbach and they can sell me the exact same one, 2024 for 3,600. It's a year newer, it's $600-700 cheaper.
Is Manderbach considered co-stars?
Yes, it's a Coaster.
Does anybody have any questions on that? And again, it was budgeted for during the budget, so.
It was.
Looking for consideration of approving the purchase of a budgeted Ford Bronco Sport not to exceed $32,000.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag,
Second.
second by Ms. Drobnick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The third action item is to consideration to purchase a 2024 Dodge Ram dump truck. Not to exceed 120,000. It's a salt truck. It's gonna come with a balloon body down with the foldable sides. I didn't put a tarp on so we're hauling dirt and branches and stuff, we don't lose them. I did get two quotes. Savage came in 104,000, but they put a electric lift on the electric salt spreader, which is not what we use. Don't have the capability of what we do. It's an additional like 14 or 15,000 for it to go to hydraulic. I got one from New Holland. Everything matches except they're gonna be hydraulic and they're also gonna throw the light package on, which Savage wasn't going to. I was gonna have to outfit out elsewhere. They came in at like 109,000. 109,957. Nice thing about New Holland Dodge, they sell Dodge, Ford, and Rams. I came to terms with them when they're gonna start coming here, like when we have recalls, they do it for the police vehicles too, because they have Fords and Dodges. They're gonna come to my shop and do the recalls, because normally we gotta come up to the garage or the police station or take my garage, take them there. Two guys go dump them, two guys come back. They're gonna do recalls and some warranty work at the garage for me. Which at no cost,
That's a good deal.
which will save me manpower and time.
Well,
Yeah. Big deal.
and same question, co-stars, yes?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions?
And this is to replace the other dump truck.
I have one down there now. This is to replace, I believe it's a 2002.
52.
Yeah,
This is one we have actually had in the budget for a few years in a
Yeah.
row.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
And we just kept pushing off, especially with the mechanic. We were able to get some
Yep.
longevity out of it. So it's time for it.
Got over 20 years out of it. It's pretty
yeah.
good.
And what this is also gonna do is gonna allow me to get another salt truck out on the road. I have 3 groups of people salting. I have 3 routes for plowing, so this can have a salt truck on each route then. So each route, get an equal amount of salt while plowing. Helps the melt of it.
So at this point, nobody has any other questions. Looking for consideration to approve the purchase of a budgeted replacement 2.5-ton dump truck not to exceed 120,000.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Lineaweaver,
Second.
second by Mr. Shaver. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Just one other thing I want you going over with you real quick. I don't know if any of you saw, I had tree services out trimming trees on Olive Street and Elm. It's normally not the time of year we do it. But last year I had them come in to give me a price of about $6,700 to trim that block, them 2 blocks. I reached out to them in December because it's normally a slow time for them. Because it's slow time, everyone can do work. I was able to get them to do it for 47 this year. I had them through Elm Street one. So I'll start utilizing them a little earlier in the year. You get a lot better prices. get more done for money that way. I have the quotes from last year and this year, if anybody wants to see them.
Always appreciate everything you do trying to save the borough.
If anything else, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Does anybody have any questions? Seeing none, looking for approval of the Public Works report.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Bauer,
Second.
second by Mr. Kaag, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm trying to turn the speakers on, see if we can get.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll move on to the fire department report. Dean's gonna try to adjust the speakers so that we can all hear Chad this time.
Should I say test, test, test?
That is
better.
That's perfect. Go ahead, Chad.
Squeal.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm sorry I was unable to attend tonight. You have my fire chief's report. Before I get to the action item, I just want to point out two things. One is our annual chicken barbecue is March 24th. If you'd like tickets, you can call the station and go through extension 4 to place your order. Or if you visit the fire department Facebook page, we have an online purchasing link there where you could purchase them online from the comforts of your own home. And then just pick them up that day. Secondly, I want to thank Carrie, Bendruck, and Pamela for the door and everything that went into getting that installed. It looks fantastic. It works fantastic. It's night and day difference. I recommend you stop down and take a look at it if you get the chance. Moving on to the action item, I have one action item tonight. As you know, the potential buyer for the engine fell through. I was able to find another buyer who is willing to pay the $50,000 purchase price the old buyer was. So I'm asking council for consideration to accept a conditional offer of sale for the 2000 Seagrave engine from the Springdale Volunteer Fire Department. The sale price would be $50,000, of which the borough would be required to give Brindley the 10% because this person found out about the truck through Brindley.
Does anybody have any questions on that action item? Seeing none, looking for approval of the conditional offer of sale.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Drobnick,
Second.
second by Mr. Shaver, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Hey, one quick question. So, Springdale, Arkansas.
No.
No, PA.
Okay, I'm just looking up Springdale Fire Department. Springdale, Arkansas. Like, how are they getting it to Arkansas? They coming up and picking it up? or-
They're only 4.5 hours away.
Yeah.
Okay.
As is.
All right.
Got
Well,
any
there's more than
breaks?
one
Just got
Springdale Fire
infected.
Department.
They did the inspection before selling it, so
Okay.
should make it 4.5 hours. All right.
As long as it's out of West.
We do have one other action item on there as well, and it's consideration of consenting to the appointment of Lieutenant 64-1, who's Jamar Key. Does anybody have any questions on that? Seeing none, looking for approval. Motion made by Mr. Wert,
Second.
second by Mr. Shaver, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Anything else for the fire department? Seeing none, looking for a motion to accept the fire department report.
Well moved.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag,
Second.
second by Ms. Bauer, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll stick with Chad for the code department report.
All right, you all have a copy of that report also, since Pamela touched on it. The retaining wall that she's referring to is the retaining wall that is on the east side of the property behind the structure. There's an old pile and railroad tie retaining wall, and there were some problems with that starting to deteriorate, and then also some runoff issues that were causing dirt and debris to run into the lot at 200 Penn Avenue. So we've gone through the process of sending them letters. They did start phase 1. So far, they haven't submitted plans for phase 2 after Pamela's letter. So I'll get together with her and Dan, and we'll come with a plan of action for that. But other than that, you have a copy of the Coast Department report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions on the code department report? Seeing none, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by, sorry, was that Denise? Ms. Drobnick,
Seconded.
second by Ms. Leiendecker, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chad. We'll move
You're
into
welcome.
CRF report. Nick?
Everybody has a copy of the report that I submitted. Are there any questions on the report?
Does anybody have any questions on the CRF report?
Did you set an official date for the fashion show?
Right now, it's gonna be in April. I have a meeting on Friday. What we ran into is we were looking at March, but March 16th was the I Am Able Foundation. The 23rd was the Addison Rose, which a lot of our vendors were gonna be doing that. And
Yep.
then the next one was the night before Easter. So we figured it may not be attended. So we're looking at April. I should have a meeting on Friday, so.
Wonderful, thank you.
Anything in particular that we should watch out for here in the coming weeks?
Chili Fest.
Chili Fest on March 9th.
Yeah, I have that on, that should be on there.
Talk about it.
We have, we have over 20 participants, working with Willow Creek. Mark has been great with kind of spearheading that, but we're gonna be putting some posters out with different businesses. So we started the marketing with that. Anthony's been doing a really good job there, and I've been seeing on social media, a lot of people claim they're gonna be attending it, so I think it will be something that'll be, a good attendance.
Just a real quick question on my perspective. Did the leprechaun crawl die out again?
It did. I mean, I talked with Adam about it. I talked with Mark, and I think it's just gonna be, individually, businesses can
Yeah,
kind of do what
sure.
they want. Yeah, we didn't, when we had talked with you, then I kind of told those guys, it's not something we're gonna do at that scale. Maybe in the future, but it all came up so fast that we said,
Yeah.
we'll just
Okay.
kind of let it do. Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. I saw a couple flyers out there and then they were gone and it was like,
Yeah, I mean, I think Mark's doing something at the tavern. I know, Mark at Willow Creek may do like a breakfast, but nothing of the magnitude of the bar crawl.
okay.
Yeah, after that. Back off.
Just didn't know if we needed to
Yeah, not.
have trash collectors be ready to go out and about.
And we did, on the Hope Rescue Mission, we did, talk with them and they
Good.
are ready to go. We discussed it last night. I think we're only gonna do Mondays to start with them. And then they had, reached out to them today and they had actually asked me, they want to know, they have their own insurance, their own working comp. They want to know if the borough wanted to be named as well on the policy. And I can forward you the email that they.
I think we'd have to, yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was something.
Additional insured.
But they're gonna start off, and they're gonna, I think it's in there, all the areas that they're gonna do, and then hopefully, it'll just clean it up. As I walk the avenue, I see a lot of little stuff, and it's something that, I personally don't think a business owner should have to walk in and do that first part of their day, picking up cigarette butts and things like that. They should be focusing on inside their business, and this is something we're gonna do as a service to them, and just as people come here, I think it'll just make it look better, and you won't have all that little stuff, so.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick.
Any other questions on the CRF report? Seeing none, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Leiendecker, second by Mr. Wert. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries into committee and commission reports. As of right now, I do not believe that we had anything for the EDI task force as of yet. So we will move on to the Recreation Commission. We'll start with Mike.
All right, good evening, everybody. You have a copy of my report in front of you. If you have any questions, please ask. I have 2 action items on the agenda. First one being Brian Buchanan from US Buchanan Upshot Disc Golf contacted me. They would like to have a disc golf tournament. It's something that we've had in the past. We had it on the day after Thanksgiving and we had it in spring. So they would like to come back and just wanted to get approval of them having the disc golf tournament on Sunday, April 14th, with allowing an alcohol vendor to be present if possible, from 8 AM to 4 PM on Sunday, April 14th. It's the day after the fishing.
And I would assume that they're looking to utilize the pavilion for that.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions on the disc golf tournament? We've had it before a couple times.
And they have had
Good success.
liquor there before as well.
They have, but I mean, just speaking to a couple of places, we 99.9% are not going to have an alcohol vendor. We'll sell hot dogs, sodas, chips.
Maybe they may be able to just encourage the players to go out on the avenue afterward.
Yep.
It's a kind of a small event for vendors.
But just in case.
Yeah.
All right, so looking for consideration of approving a disc golf tournament with an alcohol vendor on Sunday, April 14th from 8 AM to 4 PM.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Shaver,
Second.
second by Ms. Leiendecker. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, Second action item.
You know,
Consideration of approving the pickleball tournament event dates as presented by Borough Tennis, which is at Shield and Ashland.
so right now they are looking at the June 7th through the 9th weekend and also October 4th through the 6th. They may not need the 7th and the 4th. So they were looking for that. And then they also have an event on September the 19th.
That's very small. That is, it had to be listed. It's from an organization that wants to do a pickleball event, so it had to fall under that.
Yep.
Under that moniker, so.
You can approve all three. Does anybody have any questions on those pickleball tournament event dates as presented by Frometh? Seeing none, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Leiendecker,
Second.
second by Ms. Drobnick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Easter egg hunt coming up on Saturday, March 23rd. That's at the firehouse. We have some donations, Palmer's, Tom Sturgis pretzels. Sarah Fishing Rodeo is on April 13th, so get those kids registered. Vines and Vibes in May. So that'll be a good time. I don't know if we want to disclose the band.
Why not?
So Vines and Vibes.
Frog Holler is gonna be.
Yeah.
Not approved. No, I'm kidding. Frog Holler?
Yeah,
Okay. So.
right?
Well,
We're moving and grooving, man.
They're good. They're a good.
They're
band.
so good.
I love it.
Large following. Huge.
We had our karaoke this past Sunday and we raised close to $2,000 for recreation. That has turned out to be an awesome event.
Thank you.
So Ranger Rick, be nice, did a fabulous job performing. We had some good ones. Mounts, I think he got my vote for entertaining tonight, so.
It was a spirited and very talented group, and it was a lot of fun.
It
We had
was
to turn people away. There's too many
We
kids.
did have to
31.
turn some people away.
31
Yes.
entrants, and we had a tournament, I think we weighed 5 or 6 people, because we would have went till probably after 11.
Yeah, we would have been there all night. It's.
Yeah, I was
we-
pretty tired by the end.
It was fun, a lot of fun.
Toying with the idea of maybe branching off into a kids version, junior karaoke, not this year, but we've got a lot of great suggestions from people who've been participating and just make it better and better. We don't like when the kids cry because they didn't get to sing twice,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
They gotta pay.
The feelings get hurt.
Pool playground, working on retaining staff, we have a good amount coming back. Still trying to secure a pool manager. I just spoke with the potential person today that we're gonna try to set up an interview with. So he managed a pool before.
Perfect.
So, and I have a strong interest from a bunch of lifeguards who have been there for a while for the assistant. Possibly, so.
Great.
But that's pretty much it from the wonderful world of recreation.
Anything that you would like to add, Denise?
I don't think that's it.
Oh, online pool and playground registration.
Ah.
Available
Yes.
online.
Yes.
No more paper.
Yes.
Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
So you can do that on your phone. Then once that's submitted, you can go on West Reading Borough. We have a tab on the recreation side for pool and playground. And everything is set up where you just click in the whole 9 yards. Then we can accept your credit card on file and we can set payments for the beginning, middle, or end of month. And you get to hear my lovely voice on the other end when I call you to get everything set up.
I'm sure you'll be calling Karen soon.
Well.
Any other questions for the rec commission report? Seeing none, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag,
Second.
second by Ms. Leiendecker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to planning. Phil.
Okay. I wasn't at the meeting. Zanna was at the
It
meeting.
was at the meeting. Yeah, we went over a lot of the it's a continuation of our discussion of the Dirk and Edson plans that they've been offering. We went through the proposed and existing zoning districts and the plans to change and or amend them. It was a thorough meeting, I would say. We were able to, we discussed quite a lot in terms of what the conditional uses are, what the permitted uses are, and what is not. And so I think at our next meeting, we're just going to continue to sort of work our way through and
Yeah,
get back to Dirk and Edson.
right. We've already heard back from Mark at Dirk and Edson. We will likely have some official business that night that we need to talk about, but we're hoping to continue the process. He did express to me that when he heard about the progress that you folks had made, that he thought that was very, productive.
It was very productive.
So he was happy to hear that. So more fun to come.
Very
Discussion,
colorful now.
it is discussions upon what a bakery is as opposed to like a place that serves baked goods. Like there's very strange definitions about things, but
Yeah, for good reason.
yes.
Yep, folks, this is the fun. Come to the planning commission meeting and you can see us work through this. It's fabulous.
We need magnifying glasses.
I have seen other municipalities do this.
Yes.
With great success.
Yes.
I actually had to do it for my existing place of business.
Yeah.
They wanted to put a sign up, and I believe it's North Whitehall, has form-based code, so that was a
Yeah,
real joy
no,
to
it's
go
super
through all-
awesome.
everything they did.
Yeah, it's really exciting stuff. If you're into like,
Interested in.
if you're interested in zoning, which,
That's a very small number.
hey, wait a
Niche, niche.
minute.
It's a niche interest.
There have been
Yes.
some very big articles put in some very big publications in the last week or two regarding zoning in the New York Times or what have you. Have you seen it?
No,
Okay,
I'm agreeing with you.
okay, well, there has
That
been.
it's important, yes.
You know,
that's
because
important.
there's a lot of innovative ideas out there to try to get our arms around what is really a housing situation or crisis or what have you in the United States because of the lack of units and how single family housing is like basically the only thing permitted in a lot of municipalities and jurisdictions around the country and how it's basically held back a lot of folks from, either purchasing homes or being able to afford reasonable rent due to just market demands. And so that's not the situation here in West Reading, by the way. We're quite kind of the opposite. We encourage density here in our zoning code, which is not the case for a lot of places around the country. But this is kind of like, the heart and soul of municipal governance really is when you get into the real details of things like a zoning ordinance, which is always your longest ordinance, is your most detailed, zoning ordinance is probably 1/3 of all of your ordinances. It's that long and weighty. So to do this, to have Mark at Dirk and Edson help us through this process has been something that I've wanted to do for many, many years. And we've been gracious enough to get some outside help with regard to funding it. And it's finally coming to fruition. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
And not just with housing too, but making sure it's as friendly to business that we want it to be.
Correct.
And also having a say in sort of what kinds we can allow in what places.
That's right.
Yep. Does anybody have any questions on the planning commission report? Seeing none, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Drobnick,
Second.
second by Ms. Bauer. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. EDC.
Okay, folks. Well, the big thing, we always talk about businesses coming and going. Of course, earlier in the evening tonight, we heard about 433 Penn Avenue, and from an economic development standpoint, that's some pretty exciting stuff. And that is a process that, it's almost been 2 years in the making. Something around that we've had to kind of like keep our lips zipped and couldn't really talk about it. But it goes to show you that, your elected officials are working behind the scenes sometimes to bring things to the table that are good. And tonight is the night that we got to tell everybody about it. So that's going to be really exciting. The
the 400 block will benefit from this project going forward. It's going to be really exciting. And to Ryan's point earlier about unlocking other potential, remember that parcel links back to Delaney Circle, which ultimately links down to Buttonwood Street. So there's a lot of additional potential here that could theoretically be unlocked by the borough having some site control over this property and then utilizing it for public purposes. Parking is one component to it, but the public space component to it is sorely lacking on Penn Avenue. We do not have a town square or anything else like that. If you drive into other towns or what have you, we just don't have that. And to be able to configure this in such a way to have some of that is really exciting. So I hope other folks are just as excited as we are, because you know, this is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg, in my opinion. So.
Any questions on the EDC minutes? Seeing none, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Leiendecker,
Second.
second by Ms. Drobnick, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to EAC. Pat.
Hello, everyone. You should have the meeting minutes in front of you from the last meeting on January 22nd. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. We are working on our next free market, which is going to be in April. That's going to be on the 21st from 10 to 2 at the Pavilion. It is also going to be paired up with the Earth Day cleanup. Our winter free market was a success. It was a little too much of a success because we ran out of space. People were giving away a lot of stuff. We took the remaining stuff over and donated it, but I think it was a great success and we got a lot of good feedback from people. We are also working on various potential pollinator gardens and other memorial gardens around the borough. We will have more update on that at our next meeting. Other than that, let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions on the EAC report? Seeing none, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Shaver,
Second.
second by Ms. Leiendecker, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to T&I. Yeah, I may as well just stick.
Yep. So our last meeting.
We're not asking Chris to come to the meetings.
Our last meeting for traffic and infrastructure was on February 14th. You should have the report in front of you for that as well. We went over some new business such as South 7th Avenue pharmacy parking, where we cleared up some issues with that, and 5th Avenue and Franklin Street, no parking zone. And then we went over some old business. We're still looking to get some radar sign data from North 6th and Reading Avenue. And then we also touched on some potential plans for Delaney Circle.
Anybody have any questions about T&I? Seeing none, looking for approval. Motion made by Mr. Wert,
Second.
second by Ms. Drobnick, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll stick with Pat for Shade Tree.
Hello again. Last meeting was on February 5th. We go over our standard items that we go over at each meeting, such as tree plantings, tree trimmings, tree removals, and a watch list of trees that may or may not make it to the next year. We have had a lot of bad storms, especially bad windstorms over the past few weeks. I would like to thank KT and Public Works for all their due diligence to keeping these tree trimmings and removals up to date, because correct me if I'm wrong, we have not had any major falls.
Pat, seriously?
So,
I couldn't tell you last time we had.
but I want to thank you for that, because it's something I think we should be proud of, is
Yeah.
that we take care of our trees.
Yes.
We are on top of it. I know we get a lot of complaints from people from branches falling. We got a pretty good thing going on. And other than that, me and another member are actually attending training through Penn State University Extension in order to learn how to better manage our trees and going over things such as tree identification, proper planning, and recruiting volunteers for different events. But other than that, if you have any questions about the report in front of you, let me know.
Does anybody have any questions on the shade tree report? Seeing none, looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Lineaweaver, second by Ms. Drobnick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to Safety Committee, Dean.
We're safe.
Still safe.
No, we continue to have good in-depth conversations during safety meetings, and they're very productive.
Cold stress and hypothermia was
That's-
this month.
Yeah, man.
That's a real thing. I
It
deal with
is.
that. I deal with that. I work outside. That is a real thing.
Gotta take care of our guys, make sure they get enough breaks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions on the Safety Committee report? None. Looking for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Lineaweaver.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kaag. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to Treasurer's report. Jeanette.
Good evening, everybody. I need to apologize. The wording on the action item isn't correct. It should be transfer from M&T to Quiggett for $150,000.
Opposite way.
That's a big.
That means that we have had some taxes coming in, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was water and sewer.
There you go. All right, so reverse that action. Looking for consideration of approving the transfer of $150,000 from M&T to Pliggett Prime.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Kaag,
Second.
second by Mr. Shaver. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Then before you, you have the financial statement for the 1 month ending in January, and then also the payment approval reports from January 17th to February 16th, and then from the 17th to the 20th. If you haven't done so already, take a moment. And you guys are, if you have any questions, feel free to make them known. Otherwise, looking for consideration to approve the financial reports.
So moved.
Made by Mr. Shaver.
Second.
Second by Ms. Drobnick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I'll open the floor back up for public comment. Jim, go ahead.
The gas station at 433 Penn Avenue, like you said, it's been a 2-year period. I recall talking with Mr. Schweitzer, I was in touch with this. And at the time, he did have a potential buyer. But what the person wanted to do was have another convenience store like the other 2 gas stations. Somehow or another, there was feedback from Borough that that wasn't permitted at that particular time, so he lost a sale under those guidelines at that time. Is there any feedback on that? What one particular reason we couldn't have, at that time, 2 years ago, he wanted to sell, had a buyer. And somebody wanted to sell gas and also sell grocery.
I'd have to think back on that.
I think it was just the zoning didn't,
Yeah.
wasn't proper for it.
Yeah.
That's all it was. And
Yeah, it was.
the zoning was,
I can confirm it was zoning. So convenience stores are only permitted in the general business district. That property lies within the central business district.
So it was a zoning restriction.
Correct.
Okay, so therefore he didn't have a sale
correct.
at a good price at that time. Is there now, what are we talking, 600 and how much?
675,000.
675. My other question is, what, you were talking about, the retaining walls in place and mud coming on at Second and Penn, is that off the hillside, the mud?
The backside of the hotel.
Oh, okay, backside of the hotel.
Yeah, the old railroad ties that go up there that were held back, some of them were deteriorating and starting to allow mud to seep through.
Okay, going into the old Merritt's Lumberyard.
Yeah,
Okay. How's their site on Franklin Street then? It's not the lumber retaining wall.
I don't think that's a
No.
concern.
No, that's not an issue.
It was actually mud coming from there down to Second and Franklin as far as.
It was in the parking lot. So, Mr. Rogers, if you remember like 20 years ago when Mike Hart was still here yet, that lower end of the parking lot, that retaining wall let loose and crushed a few cars.
Yes.
That was replaced. It's that upper landing part where right below the hotel, where some of that was starting to deteriorate and allow the mud to come through. So they were being proactive to try to make sure that doesn't happen again. Chad, did I say that right?
You are correct.
There you go.
There you go. Tina, you had your hand raised.
I have a question for the planning commission. So when you guys said about zoning for types of businesses that are not allowed, can you clarify what types or how you come about picking and choosing?
So,
How much time do you have?
yeah,
That meeting was like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
yeah, I
You can
mean,
give the Reader's Digest version
Yeah.
and then divulge her into,
it's a very complex matrix that we're given from our consultants at Durkin Edson. After they had gone through meetings with us about what types of businesses we were comfortable with or what have you, or what we were not necessarily comfortable with. And we're talking about the central business district. You know, again, how zoning works in Pennsylvania is you must allow for every potential legal business in your jurisdiction. You cannot say, sorry, we don't want this here in West Reading. Doesn't work that way. If it's legal, you have to find a place for it. A strip mine, got to find a place for it. Nuclear power plant, got to find a place for it. You know, is it realistic? No. So we're going through those definitions right now. We're having those discussions and we're letting them know what the planning commission it thinks is best for the central business district from a definition standpoint. Currently how it sits, some of our definitions are a little wonky, and Chad can speak to that if he wants to, trying to fit sometimes people that come in with ideas about where does it fit, where does it not fit. So in a zoning ordinance, you're always chasing your tail when it comes to definitions. This is hopefully going to provide staff with an easier way on how to facilitate applications, but at the same time, allow Penn Avenue to be what it is, and that is a great small town high street. And not have it just turn into, you know, a place where anybody can rent to anybody regardless of what type of business it is. Because there's some businesses that we'd rather have elsewhere, perhaps in the general business district or light industrial, for instance. We're only 0.6 square miles. So there's only so many spaces to put things. But I think we're getting our arms around it more so than we've ever done before in the 18 years that I've sat on the Planning Commission. This is going to provide a really robust tool for staff and for the current planning commission and planning commissions into the future to allow Penn Avenue to take it to the next step. So almost 5 years into this whole revitalization, we're really ready for the next step. And again, 433 is part of the next step. And so is this form-based codes revamp that we're currently working on. So there's a lot of really super exciting things from an economic development standpoint that we're getting our arms around, not to mention if, and it's of course a big if, the train comes, that's going to be a game changer for both the city and for us.
Not the metaphorical train, but the actual.
Yeah, the actual toot train.
Yeah.
So we'll see, you know, we're close. I mean, it's close.
Definitely.
You know, I
did share with you at the WRF meeting about the gambling machines, and you said they're not.
Yeah, that's
So
a
I
whole,
think my biggest thing, because if anybody's aware, Pauline's that was downtown on the corner of Fifth and Bed, that whole thing is full of skills, both gambling machines, and that's just a concern for me.
yeah, they're really hard to
that
get arms
there are
around.
some businesses that could throw them in their stores.
Yeah, And that, as far, maybe Dan, you know where that, if that Allegheny County case is still pending. Yeah, yeah. So, some parts of the state say, nope, it's not gambling, because it takes some skill in order to play these machines. So it's like a video game. But these video games,
Talk about that and just.
yeah,
Maybe that doesn't happen on that.
I wish the state would give us some guidance, and just let us know what the deal is with them. It is like, I mean, I don't know sometimes what Harrisburg is doing. How long is it gonna take?
Chaz.
Yeah, I don't know.
Going out there.
Like, I mean, like, how are you the only state in the entire country that doesn't have like local police radar? Or something as simple as that. Like, I mean, seriously, I mean, come on. I mean, Harrisburg, hear my pleas. Like, get your head out of your butts. Like, get work done. Yeah, it's very frustrating sometimes when, like, the simplest things, like, is this gambling? Is this not gambling? Yes or no? Like, how many decades do we have to sit here? How many more follicles of my hair have to fall out of my head, before we get a decision? I don't know.
They're apparently a very big money maker.
They are.
Well, they are, but it's not the type of, it's under the radar. I'm gonna go back to radar thing. I'm gonna keep going back to that.
No.
No.
It's very frustrating. I hear your frustration. I'm frustrated as well. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, I'm done.
Me too.
Any other public comment from the audience or online? Seeing none, I will close the floor to public comment and look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Shaver.
Second.
Second by Ms. Leiendecker. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.